Hey everybody, my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and again I'm learning how to code in Go, so I thought I'd teach you what I learned as I learn. So I was just reading up on arrays, so let's now arrays, if you've done other programming languages, you know an array is essentially a collection of data. Okay, now if you come from a JavaScript background, kind of where most of my experience is in, you can just make arrays on the fly and they can be as big as small as you want, and they're pretty cool. um, Same thing in Python. I remember there being a limit in size in Python, a little bit more limitations in other regards, um, but they're pretty flexible in Python as well, and in C++ you'd have to actually define how many units. um, Go is more like C++ in regards that a array has to have, you have to tell it how many spaces are in your array. So imagine this. Let's say I'm going to declare an array called my array. Okay, and it's going to equal an array. So arrays are always represented by square brackets, and it's going to have 3 spaces of type int. Okay, cool. There we go. Now there is my array. I have created it. So now I have an array right now that has 3 zeros. So basically, if I don't specify what's in it, it's going to assume there's 3 zeros in it. So just to show that that's the case, let's print it. Format print my array. Okay, let's run this. Oh wait, that semicolon doesn't need to be there. This is not JavaScript. Okay. Session. Okay. Now here's the thing. See this equal sign? I should not put that there because I'm not assigning this. I'm not saying that this is going into here. I'm just declaring it, so I should just take that out. So it should just be like this. Okay. So let's run that again. And there you go. You have an array with 3 zeros. Now, if I wanted to, I could specify what that array equals. Okay. And let's see here. Well, let's do it. First, let's do it one by one. Okay, so let's say I wanted to specify. Now, again, arrays, the way they work is that they're indexed. So generally, the first item is always item 0. So if I were to go my array item 0 will equal 5. My array 1, which equals the second item, it's going to equal 6. And my array 2, which is the third item, is going to equal 7. Okay. And see, there's my array, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now the thing is I can't add any additional items because I've already said that this array is 3 items. My array 3, which would be the fourth item. Problem is, it should give me an error because I'm not allowed to expand the array. The array is sort of a fixed. Basically, what happens when you create the array, it creates a fixed block of memory, and that's the great thing about arrays is that all the memories are right next to each other. So when you're doing things to multiple data pieces, like if you're iterating over an array, it's going to work very quickly because you're not jumping all around these different memory addresses. They're right next to each other. Problem is, you've only set aside, let's say, these 3 spots. So the very next spot in memory may have been used by some other variable you created. So the next time you create new data, it has to go use variable somewhere else or use memory somewhere else, so it's not congruent. So you can't expand it for it to be sort of a true array. And see, it says, hey, I'm out of bounds. It's a 3-element array. Okay, and for the intents and purposes, basically a 3-element array is treated as its own data type. Okay, and a 4-element array, etc. So every size of array is unique to itself. The reason that matters, okay, so I'll leave that there. But let's say I defined a function. Okay, so I'll go back to that up here. So func array magic. Okay, we're going to say it has one parameter, which is we're going to call it array of type. Okay, it's going to be a 3-element, or actually we're going to say, yeah, a 3-element array of integer type. So basically what this is saying is that I'm creating a function called the array magic. I'm going to call my parameter array as the variable name for my function, and that has to be a 3-item integer. Okay, so basically by saying that, I have to pass a 3-element integer. I can't do a 2, I can't do a 4, and we'll test this out. Okay, and all this array will do is change the elements of array. Okay, of array, actually I'll just copy this over here. Let's take out the my's because I just want it to be array, but that's a lowercase, so I can change that too. Let's make sure all my indentation is right. And let's change these to different numbers, 7, 8, 9. So what it'll do is that it'll take that array I pass in, change the variables to that, and then it's going to return array. So I should specify the return type, which is going to be also an array of 3 spots. Okay, so there's my return type. Cool. So there's my function. Okay, so I'm going to print the array, and actually here's what I'm going to do. Create 2 of these because I also want to make a separate point. So I'm going to print my array twice. In the middle print, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run array magic, passing through my array as the argument. Now the reason I'm doing this is because what I want to illustrate is that the function is not supposed to change your array. So when I pass that array as an argument, my array, it's going to basically create sort of this temporary copy of the array. So essentially when I'm changing to 7, 8, 9, it's changing my temporary version and then returning my temporary array. And it's going to print that. But then when I print my array afterwards, it should be unchanged and back to its original 5, 6, 7. So let's see if I am correct. Okay, and I am correct. So 5, 6, 7, it prints my array once. Then we run my array through the function, but it doesn't actually change it. Okay, because basically, again, it's just creating a copy of the actual array that it's going to work with in the function. Okay, it's just taking the data and saying, okay, here's my 3-element array. 7, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so cool. Now, what would happen if I made this a 2-element array? Would it still work? It shouldn't. But let's test that out. And nope. So you have to realize that 3-element arrays are treated as a separate data type from 2-element arrays, 4-element arrays. So when I create a function, the argument I pass into the function has to match the type that I declared it with when I created the function at the top. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, if I want to find the length of an array, okay, so let's say here, we're going to change this to len, which stands for length. So the length of my array, we're going to print that out. So what the length function should do is take the array that you pass through as the argument and then return its length, meaning how many spots does it have. Right now it's a 2-spot array or a 2-element array. So it should give me the number 2. So let's see. Yep, I got an error. So let's see here. Cannot use my array type 2 int as type 3. Oh, because that's right. This is still. So let me change this up here. 2. Oh, this keeps working. And get rid of this third call. And now let's run it. Cool. Okay, so just to recap, it prints my array, which is now 5 and 6. Then it prints the array magic, which returns the modified array 7 and 8, and then the third print prints the length of the array, which is 2. So that's now the length function is really useful if you want to iterate over the array. So for example, let's say I want to modify this array and I want to use a for loop. I could do for I equals 0. Actually, I'll just do this just to be 100% sure it's going to work. I equals 0. As long as I is less than len my array, which means it should run it for the exact number of items in my array. Okay. And then again, at the end of each loop, we'll increment it, create my curly brackets. Okay, and the result, let's see here. What we're going to do is for each loop, we're going to take my array and then use the index of I. So the first time it should be the first element 0, then 1, the second element. And we're going to make that equal 7. So it should make the whole array 7s. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to print my array again right after that. Okay, let me just make sure that my brackets all line up. And you know what? I want to make this prettier. So let's do this. This should all be indented because it's all inside that main function. Again, we want pretty code. Pretty code matters. Oh, no. So this should be indented again. There we go. So it's much easier for me to read the code now. Okay, because I can see this is the main function, this is all the stuff within the main function, and this is the stuff within the array because the indentation kind of helps delineate what's going on where. Always write your code for the people who are going to read your code. So let me run this. Okay, and it worked. So what happened is at first we have the print of my array originally, 5, 6. Then we have the print of the array magic return. And then it goes through the loop and it changes both into 7. Because see, what happens is that it's using I as the index. And the first time it loops, I is 0, so it's changing the first item. And the second time, I is 2. Okay, so that's cool. So that's pretty much what you can do with arrays. There's another cool thing called slices I'll do in the next video. But since we're already 12 minutes in, or 13 minutes in, I think this is probably a good time to stop and let you go practice with arrays. So head over to your REPL and try some of these exercises out and play with it just to get a feel for it. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com.